Hi, I'm Jeff Ludy, and you're watching Ask Jeff, a YouTube channel devoted to educating, empowering, and encouraging entrepreneurs. Thank you for watching. So today I want to talk to you about how to deal with conflict resolution with clients. Because if you do enough work, you do it long enough, you're going to make mistakes. The important thing is, how do you handle your mistakes? If you do it well, you recover and actually grow your business. If you do it poorly, you might join the list of unemployed entrepreneurs. So I remember when I owned a restaurant, like one of the things we learned right away was if you walk up to a table and they say, oh, my steak's overcooked, the first thing you do is remove the steak. You apologize, you tell them you're going to come up with a solution, and you remove it. You never leave it there. Obviously, if it was cooked wrong, why would they need it anymore? So you remove it. And the same thing is true when it comes to conflict resolution with your clients. Let me give you an example. I talked to one of the viewers of our YouTube channel today, and he told me about something that he did. He said, I'm good at this, but I took on another part of a project that I shouldn't have taken on. I should have brought in a third party, another trade, should have had him do that. And I learned from this mistake, but now I have to deal with this client who's not happy. How should I deal with it? Since this conversation was fresh on my mind, I thought, what a great video, we should talk about that. So the first thing you do is you acknowledge a problem and you take it from there. So he got an email last night from the client, like at 8 o'clock, and the client said, hey, I don't like how this turned out. We need to talk about it. The first thing you do is you respond and you say, I got this message. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Can I reach out to you tomorrow? Or can I call you in 5 minutes? Whatever the case may be. The second thing you do is when you deal with conflict, you either deal with it in person or over the phone. I hate having resolutions over paper, over email. It's not the best way to do it. And depending on the conflict, the issue that's at hand, the greater it is, the more you need to bring in someone who's in authority. In other words, if you own a company and you have 10 employees and it's a minor problem, it might be okay to have one of your technicians go look at the issue and address the issue. But if this is a big deal, the owner needs to come out. The owner needs to be the one handling this. So first thing you do, acknowledge the problem. Second thing you do is make it an actual phone call conversation or make it an in-person conversation. Then when you have the conversation, it starts off like this. Hi, Tim. This is Jeff. I appreciate you taking time to bring this to my attention. But before we start talking about this, I want to start by telling you, thank you so much for putting your trust in our company. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you. And it sounds from what I read in your email that you are disappointed in our work. And I want you to know that I'm disappointed that we disappointed you. Could you please take a minute to explain to me from the top everything that's happened and what it is? I want to make sure that I'm clear on what the problem is. Now, the reason you're going to do that right away is sometimes in business, we feel like, people assume and know that we care. We assume that they know that we're grateful, but maybe they haven't heard it. So thanking them for their business, thanking them for their trust, recognizing that there's an issue and you want to learn more is important. Sometimes people don't want their way as much as they want their way heard. So giving them an opportunity to just spill their guts and tell you everything about it, get their frustration off, etc. Before you start talking about the problem, let them talk about the problem. Otherwise, it seems like you're being defensive. It seems like you're not willing to listen. Now, once they've told you the problem, then you do like a good marriage counselor would teach you. You repeat it back to them. So if I heard you right, Tim, what you're saying to me is, my guys came in, they did this part right, but this part here is what's concerning you. Is that correct? Yeah, great. Okay, then this is where I love to switch gears. I said, well, let me let you understand this, please, Tim, that I'm here not to fix the blame, but to fix the problem. And I think we can come up with a solution to make this work for both of us. So I'm here to help. That's a lot better than saying, well, what happened was, my guys, these guys, and then you start blaming it on somebody else, or you go to the homeowner or you go to your client, whichever it is the case, and you say to them, well, here's why you're wrong. Even if they're wrong, they don't think that they're wrong. I heard a saying that says, the client's always right. If you believe that, you're going to go out of business. Clients aren't always right, but the client is still the client. You still want to work with their needs and you want to come up with a resolution. So in this particular case, where I talked to one of my subscribers, he told me about the solution. The guy said, look, I just want somebody else to finish this, and I've got a guy I like, I've got a guy I trust, and he wants $2,500 to use an example here. And so he said, Jeff, I don't think I can afford the $2,500. I mean, I can afford it, but gee, that's really going to kill my deal. And I said, well, maybe there's a happy compromise in there. And one of the issues that they had was the language in the agreement wasn't very clear about what the client was going to receive for X number of dollars. So once the client received it and he didn't like what he got, he's saying, that's not what I thought I was getting. So here's a solution to a conversation like that. Hey, Tim, I can see why you'd be disappointed. Actually, I'm looking at what you're saying, and I want to validate your issues because I don't think this looks as good as you and I, either one of us, had hoped for. And I tell you what I learned from this transaction already, Tim, is that I can do a better job of being clear about what you're getting. And going forward, I'm going to do better at that. And so I think that it falls on me that I wasn't as specific as I should have been or as clear as I should have been with these issues. But I want to ask you, do you feel like any of this responsibility is yours? Because the reason I'm asking is because you and I didn't ever have a discussion about how this was going to look in great detail. And I made the mistake of just doing what I thought was right. I wish I'd had a little more input from you. But how do you feel about that? And then the answer, of course, is, well, now after being agreeable, hey, you know what? Hey, we all make mistakes. It's fine. What can we do to fix it? But if their discussion is, hey, I hired you, you need to fix this, you're the guy that it was, and they start going into all of that, you shouldn't just lay down and just give up, right? Unless that's the best solution for you and your company. But people expect when they're dealing in business to deal with business people. It's fair, it's rational for you to say, well, here's where I see things a little bit different, but I'm still hoping we can come up with a solution today. Always be patient, always work toward a solution before you finally punt and let it go. Now, here's what I like about saying, how about if we half it? Because we both kind of share in why this is this way, but I want you to get what you deserve, but I also can't stand to just give up all of my profit on this job for something that wasn't quite clear when it comes to our agreement. How would you feel about halving this? And hopefully the answer is, I think that's a fair deal. And you both shake on it. Now here's why it's beautiful to half it, is you'd say, I'm going to give you, I'm using this $2,500 as an example. I'm going to give you $1,250 and you can hire that guy you told me that said you could have done it differently or could do it and make it right. Here's what's nice about that. Number one, you came to a solution. Number two, you've released the liability from yourself. At this point, the liability is not on you because if you said, okay, I'll hire that guy, and then that guy didn't do it right, guess what? He's going to come to you again and say, that guy you hired didn't do it right. I want you to hire a third guy. So somehow this is never going to end. So the best way for you to handle conflict is a way that resolves the problem for both parties. If both parties aren't happy, it's not a good deal. If both parties are upset, it's not a good deal. I heard a car salesman say one time, he said, on a fair deal, both parties walk away feeling like they won, both parties walk away feeling like they've lost. And that's a fair deal. If you feel like you lost the whole thing and they feel like they've won the whole thing, it's not fair and it's not balanced. Now there's times that has to happen if your mistake is a big mistake. Now one last thing I want to say about this, because there's something you need to learn about dealing with conflict. Price your product at a fair price, but with enough margin in there that when these situations arise, they don't blow up the whole deal for you. If you're charging a price that's fair to everyone, it also needs to be fair to you. Because if you do enough work, there are going to be times you make a mistake, and you need to have the resources to fix those mistakes. What good is a great warranty on your work if you're not in business in 2 years, right? Okay, I hope this has been helpful. If you got questions, send them to ask@jeffludy.com. Maybe I'll make a video about your question. Have a great day.